Hey everybody, it's Mike. I'm back to talk more about Hare Krishna. These fucking Hare Krishnas. And let's see, what else? Let's see, where are we here? Where's my sound? Okay, let's get right to the everything. I've got everything. Here we go.
Hello?
Hello.
All right, so yeah, I want to show you a video. Has to do with stupidity, and it has a lot to do with like how smart people can get into a cult and believe the stuff that they believe. And this video is it's pretty good. So it's not that long. It's kind of short. I want to get to it. Then I'm going to talk about some more Krishna stuff. But I want to comment on this. I want to comment on this video. Let's see. Where is this video at? Oh boy. Let's see. Okay, here it is. Okay, hold on.
Hey everybody, I'm Rachel. Welcome back to the channel. I'm here to share information
Keep you happy, healthy, and well informed, at the risk of pissing you off. Because if having breast cancer twice taught me anything, it's that some things are worth saying, even if they ruffle a few feathers. For the greater good, right? This isn't meant to offend anyone. It's just my way of pointing out a universal truth that we can all learn from. And more than that, my intention here is always to make you think, to challenge your assumptions and maybe see the world a little differently. Now, before you get defensive, let's be clear. Stupidity isn't just a lack of intelligence, and I am not calling anyone stupid. You can have a genius IQ and still make decisions that make people question whether your brain is on vacation. And as history has proven, some of the most powerful people in the world have made some of the dumbest choices imaginable. So let's define it. Stupidity isn't just about not knowing things. It's about refusing to think critically. It's about repeating nonsense until it sounds like wisdom. Voltaire once said, the more often a stupidity is repeated, the more it gets the appearance of wisdom. And history has proven him right. Think about how people used to believe that bleeding someone with leeches could cure them of illness, or how tulip bulbs in the 1600s became more expensive than houses because of irrational market speculation. True story. Google tulip mania. Anyway, if you hear something enough times, even if it makes no sense, it starts to sound like a fact. And suddenly, a ridiculous idea becomes an unshakable belief.
So you can relate that to cult think. So Hare Krishna, the founder of the Hare Krishnas, they believe that chanting the holy name is the same as God, and that chanting, when you chant, God is there, present in His name, and they just keep repeating that over and over, and that when you chant, God is there, Krishna is right there with you, and God is in His name, and so the more you chant, the more God is there. That's an example, and it's just repeated over and over and over. It's in the books. It's in your chanting. It's there, and it's the same thing with Scientology auditing, and touch assist and all that crap that they do. They hear it over and over and over and over and over again, and little by little it seeps in, and it's like, oh, chanting the Hare name, the holy name, chanting Hare Krishna over and over. I'm reading it, I'm hearing it, everyone's doing it, and people start to do it. It's the same with Scientology. It's the same with Jehovah's Witness. It's the same with any religion. Just keep hearing that stuff over and over. Keep hearing it over and over and over and over and over. And it nonstop until it starts to make sense. It starts to sound real. And it doesn't really matter what it is. You're just told it over and over and over again every day of your life from when you're a little kid.
People are swearing by it like it's gospel. Thanks, Voltaire, for pointing out that particular nightmare. Now, these days, the word stupid is thrown around a lot by all sorts of people. The internet and social media have made it almost acceptable and commonplace as a catch-all insult, whether it's used to dismiss opposing views or to simply sound tough and edgy. It has become a lazy substitute for genuine critical thought. On a personal note, I was recently called stupid, not because I did or said something foolish, but simply because I disagreed with someone and I backed up my comment with facts that were readily available. I'm not going to dive into what the discussion was about because it's really not relevant here, but it goes to show how quickly some people resort to labeling others as stupid when they are confronted with contradictory evidence and a different opinion. Now, before we go any further, let's make one thing clear. Ignorance and stupidity are not the same thing. Ignorance is simply not knowing something. It's a lack of information. I am quite literally ignorant of a lot of things, and I have no problem admitting that. Stupidity, on the other hand, is refusing to think critically, even when the information is right in front of you. Ignorance can be fixed with learning. Stupidity, that takes a little more work, because it often requires unlearning bad habits, questioning one's own biases, and making the effort to think beyond convenience. In fact, there have been numerous studies on human stupidity that reveal it's not just random or inherent. It is very often rooted in cognitive biases and social conditioning. It turns out that what we casually dismiss as stupidity is actually way more complex than a simple lack of knowledge. Enter Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a German theologian who, in the 1940s, argued that stupidity is actually more dangerous than evil. Why? Because evil has intent. Evil knows what it's doing. Stupidity, on the other hand, can be manipulated, weaponized, and used by evil without even realizing it. Think of it as evil's unsuspecting sidekick, like a villain's henchman who blindly follows orders, never questioning why they're holding the detonator to destroy their own life. Bonhoeffer didn't see stupidity as an issue of intelligence, but rather of a moral failure, an unwillingness to think critically. He believed that stupidity thrives in environments where people surrender independent thought in favor of group ideology, propaganda, social pressure, or blind allegiance to authority. In other words, it's not that people are inherently stupid, it's that they stop questioning. They stop analyzing, and they allow themselves to be swept along by the tide of collective thinking. They've willingly, sometimes unknowingly.
So, it's easy to understand what she's saying. I don't have to explain it. But as it refers to a cult, you join this cult, you get involved with people. It seems like it's a cool thing. It's kind of cool, and you found people that make friends or whatever. And you start to adopt their way of thinking, and in order to just kind of like fit in and be happy and enjoy what this new world that you're in, you're going to give up critical thinking on your own. It doesn't mean you're ignorant. It doesn't mean you don't know. Like, I knew that we landed on the moon, and I know that we landed on the moon, and I know that an eclipse is because the sun is getting between the moon and the earth is getting between the sun and the moon, casting a shadow on the moon. Same thing, the moon gets between the earth and the sun, casts a shadow on the you can't see this. I understand how that works. It's not a demon head eating the moon. But to be in this cult and everybody thinks that way, and the books say that, and everybody thinks that way, well then, if I want to continue to be happy and enjoy this cult, when they talk about the demon head eating the moon, I'm going to be like, yeah, demon head eating the moon, sure. Give up my critical thinking. Now, I'm not going to sit there and go, there ain't no demon head eating the moon, because that's just going to disrupt the good times that I'm having with the cult. What am I going to do that for? I want to be there and enjoy the chanting and whatever it is, whatever that feels good. So I'm willingly giving up critical thinking of going, well, I know this guy says we didn't land on the moon because Sunday comes before Monday. But I'm going to go ahead and just forget about that. Because if I say anything, if I argue, if I say anything, then I'm not being a good cult person. I'm not being surrendered. I'm not honoring the guru. I'm not being a spiritual person. Just the whole thing. So people join these cults and they just voluntarily give up their critical thinking ability. That's why you see these people in the cult. They're not all dumb, stupid. I mean, they're stupid. They're not ignorant. You have doctors and lawyers, and you have business people, and you have John Travolta, and you have George Harrison, and you have Boy George, and Madonna, and this guy, and this college professor, and this therapist, doctor of therapy, or so many people that join these cults. They're just giving up their critical thinking. They know how to tie their shoes, and they know how to do things, but they've given up questioning. I'm not going to question when he says that there's a demon head eating the moon. I'm not going to question that. I'm going to go along. I'm going to go along, and then after a while, it just becomes, now you're, hey, did you know that? Hey, after a few years, you're telling people, hey, did you know that there's a demon head eating the moon? That's what happens.
And in their capacity for critical thinking. And here's the kicker. Bonhoeffer also pointed out that stupidity and power go hand in hand. The more power someone has, the more likely they are to stop thinking critically and just start being, well, stupid. That's because power isolates people from honest feedback. Once you surround yourself with enough yes men, your grip on reality starts to slip. I stumbled onto Bonhoeffer's work recently when the algorithm put it on my feed, and I was completely fascinated by his insights on how power can dull critical thinking and his theory of stupidity. If you're curious, I highly recommend checking out some of his writings or videos. It's an interesting perspective worth exploring, in my opinion. And this leads me to Charles Bukowski's point. The problem with the world is that intelligent people are full of doubts, while the stupid ones are full of confidence. Ever noticed how the loudest, most self-assured voices in the room aren't always the ones making the most sense? That's because truly intelligent people question themselves, their ideas, and their understanding of the world. They know they might be wrong. They accept input from others. Meanwhile, those who are completely convinced of their own brilliance often lack the self-awareness to realize they might not know what they're talking about. I mean, confidence is great, but when it's paired with ignorance, it's a dangerous mix.
Perfect example. This founder of the Hare Krishna movement, this Prabhupada, whatever. This guy, he didn't know shit. He thought that the moon landing was fake because Sunday comes before Monday. And he sat there and he said it like he knew for a fact Monday, not Sunday. Sunday, not Monday. That's why we didn't go to the moon. That's why they can't go to the moon, can't land on the moon. The moon was because Sunday comes before Monday. So the sun comes before the moon. That's his thinking. And he believed it. He sat there and he preached it. He wrote books about it. Like it's a fact. Like it was a fact. The earth is in the center, and then the sun, and then the moon. And he said the reason is because Sunday comes before Monday. So it's earth, sun, moon. Stupid as stupid could be. But he sat there and he said, I'm the guru. I know everything. God talks to me. I'm dictating, I'm writing these books, but it's Krishna that's writing the books. But Sunday comes before Monday. Fucking stupid. The stupidest thing. That's got to be one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. I mean, there's a lot of people that write books and make videos about the moon landing, and they bring up reasons why they doubt the moon landing. Of course, they're all debunked, but they bring up points like, well, the Van Allen belts and the radiation and things like that. Physics and whatever, like actual things, real things, and they're debunked. They go, well, they did go through those Van Allen belts, but it was insulated and they had the suit on, and the speed that they went through, and they went through the thinnest part of it, and they explain it all. Why are there no stars in the pictures? Well, we can explain that by photography and exposure and aperture. And if you know anything about photography, it makes sense to you. So there's all these, they bring up valid issues that they want answered, and they all can be answered. Prabhupada doesn't bring up any of those. He says, we didn't go to the moon because the earth is in the middle, and then there's the sun, and then there's the moon, and then there's Mars or Venus or whatever he says. Otherwise, why is it Sunday and then Monday and then Tuesday? This is what he's thinking. That makes no sense to anybody. It just makes no sense to anybody. I mean, you can't even say, like, where would you even present that as a valid argument for anything? Can you imagine him, like, in a debate with a scientist about the moon and the sun? And the scientist gets up and he says, well, according to our calculations and Aristophanes or whatever, or satellites and whatever it is, we can calculate this, that, and the other, and he's giving these equations and all this stuff that explains how we went to the moon and landed on the moon, all this scientifically, clearly, eloquently. And then Prabhupada gets up and goes, no, we didn't go to the moon because Sunday comes before Monday. I mean, it's the most laughable thing. I mean, I feel foolish just repeating what he said. I feel dumb. I feel dumber for, like, lower IQ because I'm repeating something that Prabhupada said. That's how stupid it is. That's how stupid it is. And these Hare Krishnas worship this guy. They've all stopped thinking critically. They can think critically. They can drive a car. They know if a car, if they run a red light, the car can get hit by a car. They know how to buy an airline ticket and fly to India. They know how to do everyday things. Use a stove, put food in a refrigerator. They know how to do stuff. And then they're going to sit there and say, well, we didn't go to the moon because Prabhupada says we didn't go to the moon, and he says we didn't go to the moon because Sunday comes before Monday. You can't use your head and go, what the fuck are you talking about? It's easier for them to do that. Like my friend Radhakunda said. You could prove to me that this Hare Krishna stuff is fake, and I'd still do it because I just like it so much. What do you like? Scamming people for money? Living like a bum and having nothing in life at all? That's
Don't risk losing the photos and videos from your phone. This innovative device makes it easy to back up your smartphone in.
Number 1, ask questions. If someone is confidently wrong, sometimes the best thing you can do is ask, why do you think that? If their answer sounds like it comes from some poorly written conspiracy blog, you know you're dealing with some high-grade industrial strength nonsense. Number 2, be aware of your own blind spots. Stupidity is not just other people's problems. We all face times where we lack intelligence or knowledge of something. The trick is to recognize when we are being the fool in the conversation and adjust accordingly. And spoiler alert, it happens to the best of us. No one is immune. Number 3, don't mistake confidence for competence. Some of the most foolish ideas are delivered with the most certainty. Just because someone speaks loudly and assertively doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. Think Nuke LaLoosh. Remember that scene in Bull Durham where Nuke, the rookie pitcher, yells, "I want to announce my presence with authority," but he has no idea what he's doing?
Why are you shaking me off? Huh? I want to bring the heater to announce my presence with authority. To announce your what? Announce my presence with authority. To announce your fucking presence with authority? This guy's a first ball fastball hitter. He's looking for heat. Oh yeah? So what? He ain't seen my heat. All right, mate. Give me your heat. Why is he always calling me me? I'm the guy driving a Porsche. Fastball.
Competence doesn't necessarily mean competence. Number 4, recognize when to walk away. There are some arguments you just can't win because, brace yourself, some people like being stupid. It's comfortable. Thinking is hard, which is why, as Carl Jung pointed out, most people would rather judge than think. If someone is determined to live in their little bubble of nonsense, sometimes the best thing you can do is let them. They will figure it out one way or another, hopefully. Number 5, fact check yourself before you wreck yourself. In a world where misinformation spreads faster than a cute dog video, take a minute to research before you share something. Look at reputable sources, cross-check information. Be willing to change your mind if new evidence comes to light, because the only thing worse than encountering stupidity is contributing to it. Now, here's something we don't talk about enough. Stupidity isn't just frustrating. It's actually bad for your health. This is why I'm talking about it today. Whether you're the one engaging in it or just dealing with it, stupidity raises stress levels. It increases frustration, and it can lead to anxiety.
Okay, so she's right. The stupidity, when you join a cult, it causes mental illness. people go crazy, and I don't mean crazy like, they become a serial killer, which that can happen. Or they can become, a pedophile, or they can become, a scammer, a con artist, whatever it is. But it also affects your mental health. You start believing all this crazy stuff. You start believing this stuff that these cults are telling you, and then you look. It's all fake and phony. So there's no way out. You either stay in and you become a perpetrator and you start perpetrating this scam on other people, or you think it's all real, and you can't deal with the fact that it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Or you find out that the gurus or the whoever, the leader, whatever, bounced out with money, took a woman, took a girl, underage girls, underage boys, all this stuff that happens with these gurus that bounce out. And people go nuts. They can't deal with it. People kill themselves. Become who knows what, drug addicts and pedophiles, and beat their wives and girlfriends. Living in a van in front of the temple like a hermit. Do you know how many Hare Krishnas do that? You go to any Hare Krishna temple anywhere in the world, it's going to be Hare Krishnas living in vans around the temple, just camping out. If it's legal. It's weird. It's a weird thing. It's mental illness. I knew at least 4 or 5 Hare Krishnas that just lived in a van, parked somewhere near a Krishna, till the guy got shot in the head. He was living in a van. How do you find out all this stuff's happening? All this bad stuff is happening, and you don't leave. You just stay in and cause more problems, and then end up getting killed by these people. There's so many of these Hare Krishnas that know. That they know, and they're still in it. Because they think they're so deluded and so mentally ill that even though the whole thing is cascading around them, and they still think, oh, but Prabhupada gave us this spirit. He didn't give you nothing. It's all a bunch of crap. He created a fucked up school system that did nothing but molest little children. He plagiarized a bunch of books that nobody wanted. He had to go out on the street and sell them in a shopping center parking lot out of a shopping cart, or sell them at the airport to people getting on planes, and just nobody wants those books. Nobody wants those books. It's all a bunch of crap. It's all these, find out all this stuff. That this guru was no guru. He was no Vedic scholar. He was no anything. He's nothing. And then you find out all this stuff, and then you stay in it. I mean, I hate to see anybody get shot, but why was the guy still in it? Did he put his life on the line? Gave his life for what? He was still in it. It's not like he left, was exposing it from the outside, trying to... No. People were still in. 100% in. They just rubbed the wrong guy the wrong way. That to me, I don't get. As soon as I figured it all out, and it took time. I mean, it's not like it was a gradual progression, but then there was a moment when it was like, oh shit. And it was real. It was a real oh shit moment. Like I'm in a den of friggin' snakes. I gotta get the fuck out of here. But these guys can't. I mean, I was in for a long time. I was in for 20 years. This guy wasn't in for 20 years. This guy was in for like less than 10 years. He was in less than 10. Less time. He did less time in the cult than I did. And he ends up getting shot in the head because he couldn't just leave. He couldn't just leave. All these guys, they from the webpage that I read from, this guy does a great job of documenting all the crap, even though he's nuts. He's as nutty as they come. But he does a great job documenting all the friggin' nuts in his cult. I gotta give him that. He keeps track of all the craziness. All the craziness. And he's just as crazy. He's just as crazy as crazier. He's crazier because he's got it all figured out. He knows all the shit. But he's given up his critical thinking. He thinks the sun. He thinks Monday. He thinks Sunday comes before Monday, and then we didn't land on the moon because Sunday comes before Monday. Sunday, Moon Day. Doesn't that make sense? It makes sense to this guy. It makes sense to this guy. And he even says, I'm going to read this. I'm going to read what he said. Now you got to remember, this is a Hare Krishna writing this. Who's still in it. Or thinks he's in it. He says, yep, devotees are being banned, beaten, molested, sued, and killed. He says it himself. That's not me saying it. That's a Hare Krishna saying. Well, I used to be a Hare Krishna. That's a Hare Krishna that's in it today, who makes this webpage about Krishna stuff. That's one of their own guys. Is saying right here on his webpage. Yep, devotees are being banned, beaten, molested, sued, and killed. He says it right on his webpage. This guy's a nut. I got as far away from these people as I could. Well, as far away as I could. Eventually, as far away as I could. As far away as I could. I got as far away as I could. So he says, Bhagavan Das. Okay, now Bhagavan Das is one of the original 11 gurus. One of them got his head cut off. One of them ran off with an underage girl. This guy ran off with a bunch of money. He just bailed. Bailed with some money. So he says, Bhagavan Das recently commented that the Krishna religion is starting to appear very ghastly with the poison issue. Well, I think it was pretty ghastly when the children were molested back when Prabhupada was here. It's not starting to appear ghastly. It's been ghastly since day one. It's been ghastly the day Prabhupada walked his creepy ass off that boat in Boston Harbor. Prabhupada created these schools, and the schools did nothing but molest these kids. That's pretty fucked up. And then when Prabhupada found out about it, he didn't do anything about it. That's pretty fucked up. And nobody did anything about it. Nobody turned anybody in. Nobody went to jail. Nobody did anything. He didn't talk to the parents. He didn't send the kids home. He didn't close schools down. He didn't do anything when he found out. He didn't give a shit. That's pretty fucking ghastly. But he wants to talk about the poison issue, whether Prabhupada was poisoned or not. Like, who cares? 50 fucking years ago. So what if he was poisoned? One guy got his head chopped off. The guy got 2 bullets to the head. Little boy drowned in a pool in the lake or whatever it was. 2 more people shot and buried under a river. And those are the ones we know about. And all the children that were molested. And suicides. What about all of that? But you want to talk about, well, was Prabhupada molested? But was Prabhupada poisoned? Who cares? What's it going to change? It's not going to change the fact that Prabhupada didn't give a shit about the kids. It's not going to change the fact that Prabhupada created those schools where the kids were molested. It's not going to change the fact that Prabhupada made all those creepy people gurus and let them molest all of these kids. It's still going on today. This friggin' movement that Prabhupada started 50 fucking years ago is still molesting kids today. He created a fucking child molestation factory that's still in operation. That's what Prabhupada did. And they want to talk about whether he was poisoned or not. So they can try and blame everything on these people that poisoned him. Well, they want to rewrite history. They want to say that these guys came in, poisoned Prabhupada, took over the movement, and then all the bad shit happened. Well, that's just not true. These guys were there from the beginning. Prabhupada taught these guys. Where did they learn all this stuff from? Where did they learn that they could just kill the guru? None of this shit makes sense. So that's who this guy is. That's who this Bhagavan Das is. He wants to talk about the poison issue. He didn't want to talk about the fact that he ran off. He doesn't want to talk about the fact that while he was taking a dump on a golden toilet in France, because he had all this money and he had golden toilets and golden this and golden that. And while he was doing all that, the children were starving and being molested and being beaten. And he was one of the leaders of this friggin' cult. And he didn't do nothing to help those children. In fact, he says here, the reason he left ISKCON is not because of some woman. It was because he discovered how badly the children were being mistreated. So he was one of the leaders. He says that when he found out that the children were being mistreated, he left. He didn't do anything to stop the children from being molested or mistreated. He just up and left. I mean, I can understand up and leaving. I up and left. I wasn't one of the leaders. I wasn't one of the gurus. I didn't have followers. I didn't have people worshiping my socks, my underwear. So he gives that's his excuse for just getting up and leaving, is that he found out the children were being mistreated. Well, the children were being mistreated from day one. And you just found out about it in whenever 86 or 87 or whenever all these guys started. They were doing shit from the very beginning. When people found out about it in 86, 85, 86, whenever it was. See how creepy these guys are? This guy leaves. Guy leaves with a bunch of money. First, he's living the big life as a guru. Doesn't give a shit about children. Then he bounces out, takes a bunch of money and bounces out for like 10, 15 years, 20 years. And then he comes strolling back. Hey, I'm back. Hey, remember me? I'm the little guy that ran off with the money. Well, I'm back. I'm back now, and I'm going to comment on everything that's going on. Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck is this guy? Who gives a shit that he's Bhagavan Das? And he was this and that. Who cares? He fucking bounced out with a bunch of money. He did a bunch of bad shit. And you guys let him just walk right back in? What the fuck? So this guy says, so Bhagavan is a co-founding father of the Church of the Living Pedophiles. Well, I agree with you there. Then later on he finds out many children, maybe thousands, are victims of his pedophile church, and his solution is to run away and leave the children defenseless and clean out the safe on the way out the door, evidently without warning people that their children are in peril, nor making any effort to have the children pulled out of that process. So, I agree 100%. But it's not just him. There's a lot of people like that, including this guy that's writing that. Because the guy that's writing this, he's just as involved in this crap as anybody else. Because he knows all about it too. Why are you still in it? Why are you in it and then broadcasting all the crap? Are you like schizophrenic? Are you like multiple personalities? One personality is like, this is the most disgusting friggin' cult of pedophiles. This is a church of pedophiles and this and that. And then the other personality is like, well, this is Prabhupada's movement and it's so wonderful and pure and it's Lord Chaitanya and it's Krishna and it's this and it. Well, which is it? Prabhupada taught these guys. These were his best people. And every one of them has done something. And that's including protecting pedophiles. Not one of them can sit there and say, well, I didn't know that this guy... You know, you're hanging out with him now. It just blows my mind. Like, I left this shit in 2012. And I never looked back. And now when I look back, and I put it all, and I see it for what it really is, and I have time to analyze and research and look and do the things that I couldn't do before I got in it because there was no access to anything. Now 30 something years later, it's a different world. I look at that stuff now, and I look at this cult now, and I look at these people now, and it blows my mind. It absolutely, that these people can't see. They haven't heard the truth or know the truth. And I know a lot of Hare Krishnas, I know a lot of these cult members come into and look at this video. And they see me talking, and they know what I'm doing. And they don't say anything. They just come in, they go out, they come in, they go out. I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm telling you the truth. I'm giving it from your own people. From your own people. This is one of you guys. All he does is sit there and just type out all this crap about your crap. He goes on and on about the pedophiles and this and that. He calls out everybody that's not with him. This guy's a wacko, but he's right. He's right about this cult being into the pedophiles and being into all this bad stuff. I can't stress that enough. But he is insane and crazy. But it just goes on and on about these gurus and the pedophiles and the molestation and the abuse. It just goes on and on about it. You can't look at this and say this is a normal religion or this is anything but a dangerous friggin' cult. All of this. And here and then this part here, he's talking about the gopis, the little 11-year-old girls that Krishna has sex with. And how how they go down to the river and with Krishna and the gopis this and the gopis that, and Krishna's lifting Govardhan Hill. And who can do that except God? They are seeing it, and they do not know that Krishna is God. Krishna is wonderful, they say. All these things. He says here, this is. So these young girls. If you love somebody, there is no consideration what he is, rich man or poor man, educated or uneducated. Love is no consideration. Similarly, the gopis' love for Krishna was pure. There was no consideration that Krishna was God. Therefore, they wanted to dance with him. Not dance, that's not what they wanted to do. No, Krishna wanted to dance with them. Therefore, they came to Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is calling them by the vibration of his flute in the dead of night. So all these young girls, they are all married. Some of them are mothers. These are 11, 12, 13-year-old girls, and some of them are mothers. And they are all married. Some of them were cooking. Some of them were breastfeeding children. Some of them were feeding the husband or the father. In this way, every one of them was engaged. But as soon as Krishna's flute was heard in the dead of night, they left home. So this is the highest stage. This is the highest stage of love of God, is when you can love God so much that you are an 11-year-old girl. Some of them were cooking, some of them were breastfeeding the children, some of them were feeding their husbands. So these little girls, 11-year-old girls, some were mothers, breastfeeding children, feeding their husbands. They just stopped everything to go have sex with Krishna. That is spiritual life, according to this cult, this Gaudiya Vaishnava cult of Lord Chaitanya. That these gopis, that these little girls who were leaving their husbands and their children and everything to go have sex with Krishna, are the highest form of spiritual life, the highest stage, the pure, whatever. Now, you tell me how that's not pedophilia, or that's not some weird pedophile. I mean, 11-year probably makes it clear that these are little 11-year-old girls. Generally in India, for young girls, the guardians are the father, the husband, the brother. All are male members. They forbade the gopis. Where are you going? But the gopis didn't care. No love for so-called children. No love for home. No love for brother, father, and no respect. Krishna. That's the gopis' super excellence. Super excellence. Super excellence is that they rejected everything. They rejected their father, their husbands, their brothers. They rejected everything. They rejected their children. They had no love for home. They rejected their home, their brother, their father, everything. Didn't care. Krishna, that's all. Just Krishna. That's what this cult is teaching. That's the greatest thing you can do, is to reject all of that. Reject your parents, reject your mother and father, your children, your whatever. That's why these Hare Krishnas can just put their kids in a school to be molested, and they can go run off and play Hare Krishna, because Prabhupada tells them right here, these are your so-called children, your so-called parents. These aren't real. The parents that gave birth to you and fed you and changed your stinky diaper and fed you and taught you how to potty trained you and did all that, put you through school and bought you books, bought you clothes, fed you. Those people. Don't respect them. Just cast them aside and go find the pure devotee that's your real relationship. It's your guru. Your guru's going to change your stinky little diaper? Feed you? Teach you to feed yourself? Teach you to shit in the toilet? You think your guru's going to do that for you? No, your mom and dad did that. Your mom and dad did that. Out of love. You're their child. And you turn around and join a friggin' cult, friggin' Prabhupada guy who tells you to wipe your ass with your hand and have 4 raisins, an almond, and a banana for breakfast, and then go sell his stupid books all day at the DMV? That's who you respect? That guy? And you tell your parents to go F off? That's what you call critical thinking? I call it as stupidity. You gotta watch the first half of this friggin' show so you can watch that lady talk about how stupid you are. You just turn off your critical thinking. You can't think for yourself anymore. You gotta follow the mind think of this cult, and that Prabhupada is pure devotee. And if you don't think he's a pure devotee, perfect in everything he does, then you can't play Hare Krishna no more. Because Sunday comes before Monday. Because Sunday comes before Monday. There's a demon head eating the moon. You can't think critically. You can't look at the moon and then look out there and go, is there really a demon head eating the moon? I mean, is it? I mean, seriously. The demon head eating the moon. There's an invisible Rahu planet that we can't see, that they somehow landed. You want me to believe that they couldn't go to the moon because Sunday, Monday, but there's an invisible planet called Rahu or something, and they may have went there. So they went to a planet that you can't see, and they don't know how to get there with, because it's invisible and you can't see it. But somehow they may have went to that planet by mistake instead of going to the moon that we can see. Okay, I don't get that. I tried a bunch of times to figure that one out, but that's some Prabhupada logic that just that makes an absolute no sense. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there. That is insane. They couldn't go to the moon that we can see because Sunday comes before Monday. But they may have gone to the Rahu planet that eats the moon because that planet's invisible. And so maybe they went there accidentally. I mean, how lucky would you have to be that you're trying to get to the moon that they can see? They're trying to get to the moon. They can see the moon. They're trying to get to the moon, and they can't get there because Sunday, Monday. But they accidentally landed on the invisible planet and were able to take pictures of the invisible. They were able to plant a flag and drive their little car on this invisible planet that we can't see. That's Prabhupada's logic. That makes sense to Prabhupada somehow, and to all the Hare Krishnas, because I've heard that argument many times, many times. So if that argument makes sense to you, man, you need help. You need serious help. That goes back to what I said earlier: is that cults cause mental illness. There's no way you can think of. There's no way you can think that argument makes any sense. So I'm going to leave you with that, and I'm going to repeat it one more time, because it's so funny. I love it. They couldn't go to the moon because Sunday comes before Monday. So instead, they may have gone to the invisible planet that we can't see and landed on that planet by mistake. That's Hare Krishna Prabhupada stupidity right there. That is pure stupidity. They talk about pure devotee. He's got pure stupidity on that one. So I'm going to leave you with that, and I want to thank everybody for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, so we can get these videos out and more people can watch them. More devotees can see them, and maybe they can come to their senses and leave this cult. That's the best thing that we can do. The best defense is a great offense, because if we can get ahead of the curve with letting people know that this Hare Krishna is a cult and it's dangerous, then we can keep people from joining, and then keep kids from joining, whatever. Do it that way, So anyway, thanks everybody. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and have a great evening, great morning, great afternoon, great wherever you are, a great day, and have some great luck. And please stay out of a cult. And let's see where we go.